KHOU11 starts right now with a breaking news alert.
I'm Jacob Rascone live in Kerrville, where we are seeing searchers, volunteers, law enforcement right now beginning day 5 of the searching. Steph and Devon, I know you're live in Houston.
Yeah, the death toll from the 4th of July flood has risen to at least 104 statewide.
And this death toll, which is expected to grow even more, has now surpassed the total deaths that we saw here in Houston during Hurricane Harvey, with 84 deaths confirmed in Kerr County alone. And this comes as the search continues for dozens of people who are still missing this morning. That includes 10 campers and 1 counselor from Camp Mystic. Counselors there say they didn't realize this storm would be different.
I thought it was just lightning and thunderstorm. I had no idea the severity. I mean, I was awake throughout the night because it was loud and the cabins were shaking, but we've had thunderstorms and lightning at Camp Mystic multiple times and it's always been okay, and so I always thought it was going to be okay.
That's one of the counselors, Caroline, and she also said that when counselors get to the camp, they turn in their phones unless they're in their off time. So even if alerts were sent out, they never would have seen them. And of course, we know that flooding got really bad when those little girls were in their bunk beds.
Some of them sleeping, yeah, so tragic. And Jacob, you are in Kerr County right now. You've been there for the last few days. Have you seen crews out working this morning?
In fact, just as we opened the show at 8 o'clock, they started. So over here, over my shoulder, you're seeing a couple of vehicles. A lot of these are volunteers. Most of them, though, are from agencies across the state, including right here in this area. So 7:30, they did their staging area briefing. There are 4 staging areas throughout the county, I'm told. One of them is just beyond the field where we were this morning. And they meet and they map out their day, and then at 8 o'clock, so right now, they begin. They have the entire area divided into 30 plus divisions or zones, and they're each assigned a zone, and they spend a number of time there, and then they kind of rotate. And so just before we came on, we saw Task Force 1, game warden, we saw fire officials all going past with their ATVs, their trucks, and other things. So the search is underway, and after the show, we're going to go try to catch up with some of those searchers. Behind me, this is one of the areas where a bunch of businesses were impacted. So the water came up here. You know, the river is down 30 feet or so, came all the way up to here, and then flooded just over my other shoulder. These businesses, which have been here for many decades, have never been flooded. With more on the economic impact to these businesses and business owners, Amanda Henderson is joining us live now, I believe still down in the Hunt area. Amanda, good morning.
Good morning. Yes, we are at Hunt. In fact, right behind me is the Hunt store, and you can just see the damage. I mean, Jacob, I've covered an EF3 tornado. This has more damage. It's just stunning to see. And this is one example of businesses that have been greatly impacted by the floodwaters. But our friends over at the Boat Oyster Bar and Grill, they told us that it was important for them to be able to open with the damage that they had because they wanted to give people a place to recharge. Take a listen. Repairs are underway at the Boat. The Oyster Bar and Grill sits right on the banks of the Guadalupe River.
We've seen helicopters fly very low through here. We've had cops come out on our deck just looking for people, seeing if they can help with absolutely anything. So
I'm sure that's tough though.
it is like just trying to serve people, and like you're in the middle of a conversation and then you just hear the helicopter, and like your heart gets really heavy because you know what they're looking for.
She says on Friday, the deadly hill country flash floods caused the river to rise up to the restaurant's deck, a good 20 feet off the ground.
It was over the deck, and then it kind of like washed behind me into our parking lot.
When the waters receded, a combination of trees, branches, mud, and random items were left behind, something that has left fellow employee Ella Pearl speechless.
It was definitely crazy coming to work, seeing all the debris that had come up from the storm.
Each item tells the tale of the devastation in the early hours of Friday morning, a reality Madison Collins says hits close to home.
Our neighbor heard the screaming from across the river.
Guadalupe River is Colin's backyard. She says they were within 10 feet of it impacting their family home.
The stairs down to the river were gone. You couldn't see anything.
Now all 3 women are here, back at the river, to serve their community by keeping a local staple open and running, giving people a place to recharge as they repair.
It doesn't matter who you are or anything. If you need help, we'll help you.
And I think that's the big theme, Jacob, is Texans helping Texans. That's what we've heard so many times. But even yesterday, we actually saw a fire truck from New Mexico, states over. So there are so many people who are willing to help, wanting to help, here to help, continuing to help. That's what we've seen. I know you and I saw that yesterday when we were going around Kerrville, the Kerr County area. I know that's what we're going to continue to see out here as well. But it doesn't matter where you go. It breaks your heart every time you see it because it is tough to talk about, especially when you think about the loss of life. Of course, secondary to that is the rebuild, but it's the pain and the impact is evident. Jacob, it really is.
Well said, Amanda, and the help that you're talking about that makes it a little easier to think about all of it, to watch the heroic efforts, the service efforts. That includes even us going around to restaurants and them offering us free food and offering all first responders free meals, that kind of thing that, of course, nobody has to do. Behind me is one of the homes that was knocked off of its foundation. Yesterday, we saw people trying to salvage anything that could be saved, including, this just pile of pans that they're going to carry off, probably be back out here later today. So you can see the desperate need here. And KHOU11's live over back in Houston talking about how we can show up and help and meet that need. Ugochi.
Hey, Jacob, and it's so important right now more than ever if you think about it. Now, we are live here at the University of St. Thomas, where for those of you watching at home, in just about 1 hour, you can make your way here and bring some of the items they really, really need to this spot specifically. That's the Veterans Success Center. Here's a live look of the area between 9 to 3 p.m. here on campus today. Now, that drive is lasting until this Thursday, so you do have time, but of course they need it now more than later. So if you can, stop by. The University of St. Thomas really needs non-perishable food items, bottled water, gently used clothes and shoes to fill up several trailers to send to Notre Dame Catholic Church in Kerrville. Then you have florists like Glorious Creations in Houston making free memorial flower arrangements for the families who've lost loved ones. On top of that, several local school districts like Alvin and Humble ISD, along with Typhoon, Texas, and the Salvation Army are collecting goods. Glorious Creations also says now more than 17 florists from across Texas join in to help, and here's how she's coordinating it all.
We have a Google sheet of all the florists who have agreed to help out, and so once we're able to connect families, I'm going to connect the florist with the family, whichever city that they're closest to, and then I'll put them in contact with each other.
Yeah, a team effort for sure right there. Now, Glorious Creations, the owner you just heard from there, also mentioned that several local businesses have already started pitching in to help pay for flowers and materials for some of those arrangements. So really another example, Steph and Devon, of this community really stepping up for others. You know, we have been there before. Yep. They remember, and here they are now really returning the favor to be there for others. One other thing I wanted to mention is we do have a full list of supplies as well as other drop-off sites in the Houston area in that article on our website, KHOU.com, for people to check out.
All right, good information, Ugochi, and lots of ways for the public to help. Thank you. We'll see you again in a little bit. Appreciate it. And we are making it easy for you to help. KHOU11 is teaming up with our sister stations from across Texas to raise money for the Tegna Texas Flood Relief Fund. You can scan the QR code on your screen to make a tax-deductible donation. All of the money will go directly to local nonprofits in the areas that were hit the worst from flooding. You can donate right now.
Of course, giving back is top of mind for so many people, but so is the weather, Cheetah. What can people expect today and the rest of the week?
Well, still a few spotty showers across the hill country, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm across I-35. Scattered downpours possible here locally. Big picture across the state on a scale of 1 to 4, we're under a level 1, but notice that includes a big part of Texas. Now, live look at the radar, dry right now across I-35 in Kerrville. That's why they're actually starting off under mostly clear skies, and that's going to hopefully help them at least for the first portion of the day. And then it's going to get hot later today. More on that in a second. Radar zoomed in here locally. I've been tracking some of these streamer showers from Chambers into Liberty County. Not anything severe. This is really light, but this is all going to ramp up midday through 6 o'clock. A quick 1/2 to an inch of rain is expected, but isolated spots, Jen, could get 2+ inches. And we know 2 inches of rain in a short period of time, Devon and Steph, that could lead to high water spots. I'll send it back to y'all.
All right, always important to note because it doesn't have to be a hurricane or even a tropical storm to cause massive street flooding here in town, Cheetah. All right, we are going to turn things over to Jen in traffic. You were showing us a live look from Air 11 earlier about that massive backup on the North Freeway. Still a problem?
8 miles.
Wow.
8 miles of northbound traffic. Here's the good news. The truck is finally being hauled away by a heavy-duty wrecker. This is live. Air 11 over the scene of 45, the North Freeway at 242. Say bye-bye finally to this problem that was at one point in time blocking almost the entire highway. So here's the heavy-duty wrecker. Here's the 18-wheeler involved in the crash that happened well over an hour and a half ago. It has been really making drivers suffer toward the north, headed toward Conroe. So, all right, good news that it is completely cleared. The bad news is some of that backup is still in place. We are jammed all the way to the Grand Parkway or 99. Again, 8 miles of backup. Now, if you're leaving Missouri City, we have delays along 90 northbound at 610. Lights have been malfunctioning all morning. I've been recommending 59 for those of you who usually take 90 because you will be treating that as a stop and go situation. That heavy truck crash that you just saw Air 11 leave, that's right where they were here at 242. But look, we're backed up past Shenandoah, past Oak Ridge, past Rayford, all the way to 99. It's been a rough morning. Your GPS is going to send you along 99 over to 59 or at least to Conroe Porter to get back up to Conroe. This is well over an hour and a half of backup. I mean, it is so bad. I don't remember the last time I've reported traffic up in this area where the delay has been so long and so extensive for the delay. I would work from home for a while longer until some of this backup clears. Don't take the feeder road. Don't even think about it because it is jammed for miles as well. Those main lanes have been at a crawl for a good portion of the morning, and we've been reporting it here and on social media. You can see here at Woodlands Parkway just how bad that is. Woodlands Parkway is far from 242, so boy, it's been a long line. Okay, the inbound drive time is only 50 minutes. Pearland, you've got about a 20-minute drive in. Sugarland, about a half an hour. We'll be right back.
I'm Jacob Rascone live in Kerrville. Here we are, day 5 of the search, and at 8 o'clock just moments ago we saw all of the first responders and volunteers go past us down up the road here to their zone of searching. The area is split into dozens of zones, each zone assigned to a group, and they go very methodically with horses and ATVs and all sorts of other things to search every square inch of those areas. We want to talk about how the Houston Astros are reaching out and helping out the victims and the survivors here in Kerrville and in Kerr County. Professional sports teams, including the Astros, are stepping up, so they're pledging millions of dollars. The Houston Astros contributing $1 million to the relief efforts, and they're mobilizing fans and resources to support the recovery. The NFL Foundation with the Dallas Cowboys and Houston Texans have also pledged $1.5 million for the flood victims. The NBA, alongside the Mavericks, the Spurs, the Rockets, are pitching in more than $2 million. And the Texas Rangers are adding another $1 million to the recovery effort. And of course, we know that help is desperately needed. We have the economic impact, the dozens of roads and bridges and RVs and homes and businesses that have been flooded. And then, of course, the impact of the lives lost, the missing, the search for the dozens who are still out there, behind me one of the homes. Thankfully, this person got out of their home. Amazing to think how much worse this could have been, and I know that's a sensitive thing to talk about, but because so many hundreds of people live along and have businesses along the riverfront, and because first responders were out there pounding on doors, and not just first responders, but volunteers, neighbors, people who live here, because they were out at 4 a.m. starting to knock doors, a lot of people who could have been swept away were not swept away. The best example of that is Camp Mystic, which of course has been the ground zero, if you will, for most of the devastation here, but 750 girls and counselors were there, and all of them but the 27 campers and the counselor survived, thanks in part to the amazing work of the first responders and the counselors. Steph?
Yeah, and Jacob, as we're getting a better picture now that the sun is up this morning and that home behind you, we were talking in studio with each other. You know, we've seen a lot of tornadoes hit around our area. I remember a devastating tornado years ago in Alaska, and it looks like that area was hit by a tornado, which it was not. It is incredible just to see the damage that just a strong current of floodwaters can do to property, cleaning these homes clear off their foundation. I've never seen anything like it. But I do have a question for you before we let you go. The cleanup process, as you've been saying this morning, is just now getting started. So if people want to come and help and volunteer, can they just show up, or what are officials asking people to do?
Good question. We yesterday met a woman from Houston who is from Houston but comes here a lot. And she was out here just mucking out the homes, which of course is all of the mud and stuff, just getting that out so they can begin the real rebuilding process. So some people have just shown up to help out. Now, when they're asked about how people can help, a couple of times yesterday, the mayor, the county official said reach out to the Red Cross, the Salvation Army, who are here just because I think they want them to help coordinate that. So for example, people bring cases of water. I've seen truckloads of it. There's a staging area nearby where they've dropped off a lot of those cases of water. So the Salvation Army, the Red Cross, look those up, and there are numbers where you can call to contact them who are right here. All right, Devon Rahman covering another angle here. We've got team coverage all week long. Devon, what are you looking at this morning for us?
Well, Jacob, we're taking a look at the list of the missing, which includes mothers, fathers, and children with deep ties to communities across Southeast Texas. Among them, 2 generations from Mont Bellevue who had gone camping for the holiday weekend. It was supposed to be a relaxing family getaway to the Hill Country just one day before floodwaters ripped through the HTR RV resort near Kerrville. Deanne and Gary Kanesh, posted this photo on Facebook. The river was calm, the skies were clear. And also camping with the Kanesh, their son, Jake Moeller. He and his wife, Megan, whose bodies have been identified. Meanwhile, their 5-year-old daughter, Harley, well, she's still unaccounted for. Authorities say dozens of people from the Houston area remain missing after the floods. And among them are Mary Grace Baker, Ella Cahill, Ellen Getton, and Brad Perry. Now, we know that so many of our community are eager to help families who are impacted by this deadly flooding, and we have a way that you can do so on our website.
All right, Devon. Okay, it is 8:20. Cheetah, so give us a lay of the land. What is Kerr County dealing with as far as any expected rain today, and then move us into our local areas?
Of course, you know, we're not completely dry, but they're actually waking up this morning to completely dry conditions, okay? And then the best chance for the showers across the Hill Country, including Kerr County, but also including from Austin and areas north of into Waco that also saw a tremendous amount of rain. More thunderstorms are expected along I-35. However, what I'm expecting near Kerrville, Hunt, Ingram, those areas in Kerr County. I'm expecting heat to transition for today. I think a big story by the afternoon is going to be how hot it is, for a lot of people who are volunteering and first responders across the area. You can expect 90s, upper 80s, feeling into the 90s. And then take a look here locally, mid to low 90s when these downpours hold off until later this afternoon. I think some of the downpours could begin as early as noon and 1 o'clock. And if that's the case, temperatures won't climb into the 90s. I think they'll stay more upper 80s, near 90. This morning, tracking a few showers already from Galveston, Chambers, and Liberty County. This has been it so far. Okay, a few light showers starting to materialize from Walker into Montgomery County, but otherwise across the city, we've been under partly cloudy skies. As far as the showers go, not anything severe, but when these thunderstorms start to peak, think noon to 6 o'clock this evening, that's when we could pick up a quick half to an inch of rain area wide, but 2+ inches of rain cannot be ruled out. And that will be the risk for high water spots. So even though I'm saying there's not an overall flood threat here locally, I do think we're going to see some quick high water spots. So quick to rise, quick to recede, but they can be really problematic when you're on the roads. Here is a snapshot of our future track at 2 o'clock this afternoon. This is really when these thunderstorms become widely scattered. Notice 5 o'clock as we transition into the evening hours, probably right during your commute home later today. It could get really messy on the roadways. Then we do get a break overnight. Getting into your Wednesday, the timeline should be about the same, noon to 6 o'clock. I don't think accumulation will be as heavy as what I'm expecting today, but just keep in mind every single day this week, we're tracking daily downpours. You're not really getting a big break from the rain here locally for the next 7 days. Clouds are really starting to thicken up. This is a live look outside in Galveston. Otherwise, still seeing peaks of that sunshine. But again, moisture is growing. Thunderstorms will intensify after your lunchtime hour. Check the tropics. No new storm development over the Atlantic over the next 7 days. Here locally, 90. Again, that's all very dependent on where those downpours begin and how high those temperatures can climb before the rain settles in. But either way, Jen, it's hot, it's humid, and these downpours will take you right through the weekend. Over to you.
All right, watching for high water spots potentially for later on in the afternoon commute. If you are leaving Cypress right now, you need about a half an hour, and that will get you to 610. No major problems out of the Katy area, but you will need 42 minutes down I-10. Half an hour for Sugar Land commuters. No problems in and out of LaPorte. Looking good out of Clear Lake. 29 minutes for the drive up I-45. We will take that. Out of Kingwood, 32 minutes. Most of your congestion is in the heart of downtown after you pass up Lyons. And even out of the Woodlands, a 50-minute drive with most of your traffic close to the loop and into downtown. We've had 2 trouble spots. I'm sorry to sound like a broken record. Okay, I need my DJs. 610 here on the south side of town. We have lights that are malfunctioning, backing up 90. So 90 northbound right at NRG. That's where we have delays that have been formulated all morning. And we still have about 8 miles of backup northbound on the North Freeway at 242. We had an earlier heavy truck crash. It cleared about 10 minutes ago. Speeds are still as slow as 17, 14 miles per hour. We're backed up to 99. And I'm hearing that within the backup, we had another minor crash that is still working. So, it's going to be some time before this clears out. No great alternate route. I suggested David Memorial for a while, but I'm sure that's packed. Grogan's, if you can get there. But otherwise, this is what it looks like northbound at Woodlands Parkway. We'll be right back.
KHOU11 starts right now with a breaking news alert.
I'm Jacob Rascone, live in Kerrville. Day 5 of the search is well underway. Good morning, Devon and Steph.
Good morning, Jacob. The death toll from the 4th of July flood has risen to at least 104 statewide.
And this death toll, which is expected to grow, as we've been telling you this morning, has now surpassed the total deaths we saw here in Houston during Hurricane Harvey. Today, the search for survivors, as Jacob just said, is now entering its 5th day.
Primary search continues, and we remain hopeful every foot, every mile, every bend of the river. Our work continues.
That is the mayor of Kerrville, Joe Herring Jr., as we wait for the latest updates from officials now.
And Jacob, obviously you're in Kerr County right now. Is that water still flowing heavy as it was the last few days?
No, Devon, thankfully this is not the case. Yesterday, this was all the way up to this road, and this was a main road, used daily by, we talked to some locals about just how frequently everybody used it and how calm the water usually is. It's almost back to where it was. You could see how there were guardrails, all these big metal pieces, you know. These were all ripped straight off of the concrete, and all of the metal guardrails, you see some of it in the river all the way downstream. Just at 8 o'clock or so when this show started, we saw, you know, dozens and dozens of, we had game warden, fire officials, Texas Task Force, Texas EquiSearch, I think, was among them, headed that way. They're one group out of many. They split the area up into zones, and they're going zone by zone doing that search on this 5th day. Also live with us this morning has been Amanda Henderson, who's made it over to Hunt, which is just over the other bridge in this direction from me. And Amanda, you were saying how the damage itself looks almost like a giant tornado just ripped through.
Does. It looks just like what you would expect a natural disaster to look like. And we moved to a new location, but I want you guys to take a look at just how, this is 5 days after, Jacob. It is absolutely stunning to see, and I know you can't see it from where you are, but it's just tree branch after tree branch after tree branch down. Metal on the ground. There is so much debris out here. We wanted to kind of stay out of the way as much as we could, but you just see, it just speaks for itself, guys. This is absolutely catastrophic. Doesn't even begin to quite cover it. And there are crews out here that are making sure they're going to get the work done, and we're doing our best to make sure we're staying out of their way as well. So, it's just amazing how many people are out here looking to help each other, looking to be there for each other, and looking to be able to just, help families also get closure for answers that they're wondering, which of course has to do with the fact of what happened in those early morning hours of July 4th, what happened for all of this to happen in general. And I know there's been so many people who've had those questions, but Jacob, I'm going to tell you that seeing all this damage, it makes it very real. I know you've seen a lot out there. We've been out here for a couple of days now, but tell us a little bit more about what you're seeing out where you are.
Yeah, and Amanda, on that question of how did this happen, as we wait for there's going to be more construction equipment passing by here in just a moment, how did this happen related to any warning and lack of warning? The Lieutenant Governor told CBS News just yesterday that in the special session coming up, that he wants to take up the idea of paying for that emergency alert system, which would basically add a bunch of sirens that could be sounded in the case of a flash flood event like the one that happened Friday, when it happened while everybody was sleeping. Devon Rahming has been talking about, among other things, the idea of weather radios and how useful they are and could have been in an event like this. Devon.
That's right, Jacob. These weather radios truly are a game changer. You know, the Hill Country flooding catastrophe is a harsh reminder when severe weather strikes, getting timely alerts and taking action can save lives. But in rural areas or during power outages, staying connected isn't as guaranteed. And for this reason, experts recommend keeping a weather radio on hand. And our Victor Jacobo shows us how they work.
Observations at Houston Bush Intercontinental, partly sunny.
NOAA weather radios are much more than just a radio. These devices are tuned to a continuous feed of information from the National Weather Service, sharing forecasts and warnings. I found multiple types of weather radios readily available at local camping and sporting goods stores in Houston.
One of the most important things about an emergency situation is having multiple ways to receive information.
Today, I spoke with Brian Murray, the Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator for Harris County, about the value and importance of weather radios.
Where this has some advantages to keep you safe.
So where it really comes in handy is those situations where we lose power.
While it's too early to tell what exact tools the victims in the Hill Country had at their disposal, Murray says the radios can play a critical role year-round in different weather emergencies, especially when information on phones or computers is not easily accessible, like in a power outage or if you're in a remote location.
After the derecho and after Beryl last year, we had some areas where the cell phone towers, even though they have backup generators, they don't last forever necessarily. So the weather radios was still the one thing that was still operating that you could get information through.
Murray says receiving information is valuable, but a plan to act on that information is just as important.
If an alert tells you that you need to seek higher ground, do you have a plan to do that? Where will you go? These are things that are important to think about beforehand.
Yeah, that's right. And with these radios, you know, think if we were to lose power for weeks, this would come in handy. Think if you did not have cell signal for weeks. You know, you have to have a way to get those timely warnings, and not only to think of your plan of action for you and your family, but have a way to receive those. And again, you know, without cell signal, without power for weeks, this will still give you communication if you were stuck.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but during Harvey, and I came just after Harvey, so as people were still dealing with the heaviness of it, but power had already been restored, but I had read that a lot of people lost power for upwards to 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Wow. So, yes.
Yeah, and you know, this was also a good point in Victor's package. It doesn't even take hurricane season. It doesn't. You know, you can think of all of the devastating events we've had, even the derecho.
Yes, last year.
You know, severe thunderstorms can happen all year, but it's not only that. It's during a freeze. I mean, all of these emergency kits, we focus in on hurricane season, and we are in actively hurricane season, but this is timely all year round.
And they're fairly inexpensive for the most part.
Yes.
Like $30, you can get
Go
one
to
on Amazon.
Amazon.
I love it. All right, well, take a look at this. This is video of the Coast Guard flying over the area, and Coast Guard swimmer Scott Ruskin helped rescue at least 165 people, many of them young children at a summer camp that was hit the hardest. Ruskin was one of the first on the ground after flying through the ongoing storm, and once at the campsite, he was met by around 200 frightened children. He said he led them about 10 to 15 at a time to Army helicopters, ready to take them to higher ground.
Just decided that, hey, we can fit a couple extra kids if we leave me on scene. That air crew with Ian, Blair, and Seth kind of went to a more dangerous location to try to, airlift a few more people out of a tighter landing zone. And they were able to airlift about 15 children out of there. And they left me on scene at Camp Mystic.
What's even more phenomenal with this whole story, this was surprisingly Ruskin's first mission. He said while he was well prepared, it was the kids' resilience that kept him going.
Well, there's going to be a lot of heroics from this, not only from like first responders, but just the people that were the survivors, right? Like caught in the flood. Hearing stories from some of the camp counselors when I was on the ground with them, just telling them like, hey, I was throwing kids out the door just to get them out of the floodwater, grabbing one crock for them. Like a lot of the kids didn't even have shoes on. I was just carrying them to the helicopter because they're stepping on wet rocks and their feet might be cut up and stuff. So just that experience of like, yeah, these camp counselors and the kids too, like they're being so brave and tough. And like, I know there's a lot of them I was able to kind of like get hands on with. And if you guys, seriously, like you guys were the best. Like, I'm sorry this happened to you guys, but you guys were so brave and tough, and it made me like a better rescuer because you guys were acting so bravely.
And despite being hailed a hero, he downplayed the praise, saying any of the Coast Guard's rescue swimmers would have done the same, and he was just happy to be in a position to help.
It's really humbling to have everyone kind of calling me a hero right now. But again, I'm just a person, right? I'm just a guy. I'm just a dude. I chose to enlist in the Coast Guard. Anyone is able to do this. Anyone's able to do this job if you raise your right hand and do it. So I'm just happy I was given the opportunity to help these people out.
Yeah, definitely not just a dude. He says airlift was the only option because the water was too high for boats.
He was an overnight sensation, as he should be, and should be hailed a hero. Every network has interviewed this man, and he's gotten the word out and hopefully inspired some people to maybe enlist in the Coast Guard.
I hope so too. Yeah. And he doesn't even take it. I mean, he really so humble. You know, he talks about the kids' resiliency. I'm just like, what an incredible hero.
One of the interviews that I totally agree, Cheetah. One of the interviews that I saw he was doing with People magazine, he said that he had little girls climbing on him, and so he was carrying multiple at a time to the rescue helicopters because they were barefoot, and he didn't want them walking in the mud, and they were terrified.
And then, just like Devon said, he stayed to make sure they felt calm, they felt secure and safe. Incredible. We've heard so many of these stories. You know, we're still not completely out of the threat for rain. Here locally, it's actually going to ramp up. In the Hill Country, specifically Kerrville, Hunt, Ingram, they are going to get a break from the rain, especially for a good first portion of the day. I do think some showers and a few thunderstorms, especially from Austin Houston into Waco are going to materialize this afternoon, which is another big area that doesn't need any more rain. But let me focus here. Temperature-wise, we're going to be in the mid to low 90s. But across the hill country, even though rain is starting to drop, heat is going to then crank up. So today is actually going to be hot for them. They've had a break because of the rain, with temperatures in the mid to low 90s for the first responders, for the volunteers. They are going to feel that all throughout the day today. So again, it is going to transition to heat, some humidity this afternoon. Here locally, think 90s. When these downpours hold off, some of the rain, when it begins, let's say by 1, that's when those temperatures will be held down. Jen will have more of our hour-by-hour timeline and a look at our extended forecast in just a little bit.
All right, Cheetah, thank you. Looking good for our drive times, at least out of Clear Lake, 27 minutes up I-45, the Gulf. If you are leaving Baytown, 26 minutes. Most of your congestion is very close to the downtown area. If you're coming in from the southwest, we have had traffic lights that are malfunctioning at 90 inbound at 610. It's been a problem all morning long. So if you can work your way toward 288 or 59, you'd be better off, because all of this traffic is just going to be stop and go, treating it like a four-way stop, and sometimes it's painful delays. Downtown Houston, typically busy. We've got some traffic on the North Loop headed westbound approaching Ella, and also Galleria commuters. You know the drill. Right about now, some brake lights. If you're headed toward Conroe and you've been waiting for traffic to look better, we're still jammed from 99 up almost toward 242 due to an earlier heavy truck crash. Although I can tell you speeds are inching up to 66 miles per hour here and there. Good luck.
That freeway is bleeding, though, Jen.
Oh,
that was a
my
long
goodness.
red line.
I mean, I felt so
Yeah.
bad for anybody like, okay, Jen, tell me it's going to clear. I was like, I can't. It's
I know. People need to know about it, and you have great alternate routes. So thanks for the heads up on that. And I know that this morning has been very heavy with all the information we've been telling folks post-flood, but we do have some good news, some bright news, a positive story today. Prime Day is officially underway.
Yeah, and this year, Amazon is rolling out daily big drops, and the massive sales event has been extended to 4 days. Jalissa Garza is live inside the Houston facility where employees are keeping up with the high demand. Jalissa, what should shoppers know this time around?
Hey, Devon and Steph. Well, there are a lot for people to know. This is the first time that things have kind of calmed down in here because they're so busy at Amazon, they need a little bit of a break, okay? They're going to get their packages to you, but they need some time to decompress. But I've got another one of my besties here, Barbara. Now, you've been here all morning, throughout the morning, waking up with us. Now, tell us a little bit about how y'all have been preparing for today.
For sure. Well, I will say we are one of the larger same-day facilities here in Houston, but this week we are about 30% more volume than we would typically do on a normal basis. We're projected to do about 80,000 packages today, about 400,000 packages for the week, so a lot more than what we typically do.
Now, I know that the crews have been busy getting through everything. This is expected to be a busy next 4 days. So what is your advice for shoppers as they're looking for the best Prime deals? We've been looking ourselves throughout the morning.
I know. I've been eye-bagging the suitcase, the carry-on. Yeah, honestly, I need to put that in my bag. But honestly, the reason why we have it at 4 days is it gives you more flexibility. You get to add things to your cart, and then just really pick and choose. But they have all 4 days. So
All 4 days.
I'd keep looking.
There's a deal every single day, and you can see right now we're giving you a look at the boxes as they're getting things going. I hear some things beeping, but I'm going to go ahead and toss it back to the studio, and I'm going to go get to work because why not?
You know what? You're there, Jalissa. 2 jobs
Right.
for the price of 1. Volunteering her time.
All right, Jalissa, thank you.
All right, we are right back after this break. Your time now is 8:45, and before we go, we want to give you the latest on the deadly hill country flooding. At least 104 people have died. The majority of those killed were in Kerr County, where 28 children have died.
Yeah, and today search efforts continue as dozens of people are still missing. Jacob Rescone joins us live from Kerrville. And Jacob, what are you seeing out there right now?
Good morning, Devon. The man who owns this house told me that the fire department banged on his door at about 5:30 on Friday morning. He was not in this one. This one was already gone when he woke up. These cars were flooded. He was actually inside of that home when the fire department came banging on doors. We're learning more about how the fire department, the neighbors, the other volunteers made sure that hundreds or thousands of people who could have been swept away in the floods were not. As day 5 for the search for the missing gets underway this morning, that includes 10 campers and a counselor who are still missing from Camp Mystic, that century-old Christian all-girls camp that had 750 girls when the flooding hit at 4 a.m. or so on Friday morning. It's incredible to see the effort here. At 8 o'clock, we saw all of this section of first responders and volunteers headed that way. We're going to follow them right after this. They've got the equipment like ATVs, they've got boats, they've got dogs, horses, and drones. We've seen they had a helicopter yesterday. I'm sure they'll have another one. And so the massive search effort is very serious. The somber reality is that they have not found anyone alive today. They didn't find anyone alive yesterday. They didn't find anyone alive Sunday, or as far as I know, on Saturday. No one has been found alive here since Friday. Oh, and here behind me, just showing up, are some, you can tell, these are volunteers. In fact, I think we talked to them at 7:30 or so this morning. Volunteers from another county who own a ranch, who just came with their horses and decided, you know what, we're going to help out in the search. There are missing campers, there are missing people. Why can't we help? Steph, back over to you.
All right, yes, the more, then hopefully, and they can cover more ground on horseback. So, Jacob, thank you so much for showing us around that area today. And we will continue following the latest on the deadly floods. Kerr County officials are set to give an update this morning at 10, and Governor Abbott is set to hold a news conference tonight at 5 p.m. We'll be sure to bring you both of those updates live on KHOU11's.
Turning now to weather. Going to be more of the same today with the rain situation?
Yeah, a little bit more of the same. Here locally, heavier downpours today. And then across the hill country, lower rain chances. And live look at the radar right now, dry across central Texas. We are starting to see some showers popping in western Harris County, Montgomery, Walker County, and then from Chambers to Liberty County. We've been tracking some of these showers pretty much all morning. Not anything severe, not picking up anything, more than a trace to a few hundredths of an inch. That's going to ramp up. More on that in a second. Okay, we saw Jacob's live shot. He's by the Guadalupe River. This is a snapshot from NOAA at the Guadalupe River at Hunt specifically. This is actually where our reporter Amanda is, and she's been showing us live shots. I want you to take note, just 24 hours ago, the Guadalupe River at Hunt did reach minor flood stage again. Notice that little kink there that picked back up to minor. Now it's back below, and it should stay that way. Instead of the rain, they still could see a few showers, but it is going to transition a lot about heat. I think not only the first responders, but anyone who's volunteering their time, the heat is going to settle in more today. Now here locally, all right, temperatures are a good mixture of 70s and 80s. Check out Galveston. It's 86 right now, but it's feeling like 101. Today, heat index values are going to be really close to 100 and early, because see what's going to happen, these downpours are going to kick in for the afternoon, and briefly, it'll give us some rain cooled air. Take a look, by 1, 2 o'clock, we are going to see the chance for some showers, but notice by 3, 4 o'clock, some of those downpours really kick in, and typically when we reach our high temperature of the day, think 3, 4 o'clock, notice, feels like temperatures are coming down, and that's thanks to rain. That'll be rain cooled air. It'll be brief, but at least it'll be there a little bit. Now, what I'm expecting as far as the rain goes, daily downpours continue through the weekend. An 80% chance midday through your afternoon, you're going to pick up some of these downpours. Let me get to our future track. Snapshot at 2:30 this afternoon. Notice how these showers and thunderstorms are starting to become more widespread. A look at 5:30 as we head into our evening hours. So this is right during your rush hour, getting back home, and roads are messy, and it's not concentrated in one particular area. This is an upper level disturbance, so you're going to see this moving in a counterclockwise direction. It's going to slide right over the area, and that's what's enhancing the rain chances for today. So a half to an inch of rain today, but see, these isolated pockets could pick up 2+ inches of rain. Getting into your Wednesday, notice how showers and thunderstorms continue, and they really even take you into your Thursday. Now, I do think today we will see the highest risk for the potential of high water spots. Quick to rise, quick to recede, but if you're in these downpours, Jen, it can also reduce your visibility. So really keep your guard up through the afternoon hours and right during that afternoon evening commute home.
All right, Cheetah, good advice. So watch out for later and potential high water spots, or at least even hydroplaning could be a problem. On 45 the Gulf, if you're headed toward the island, we have a new problem. This is going to be before 1764 around Lagomar Boulevard. There's a crash working. You're more than happy to take Highway 3 to bypass past the delays that are in the area. You see the orange and red. That means we are seeing stop and go conditions. Same for delays up 90, all due to traffic lights that are malfunctioning. This is northbound right at 610. All drivers are forced to treat that as a four-way stop. So you can just imagine how much traffic is in the area. We're busy downtown still, looking busy along the loop in our normal spots. It's usually busy westbound from 69 over toward Yale, and then again from 290 southbound toward the Galleria. A touch of traffic if you are leaving Fort Bend, hitting the 610 loop right around Chimney Rock. Usual brake lights, nothing that you can't handle. Headed out toward Conroe is still a little congested. We had 8 miles of backup. It's not as bad. We are seeing speeds increase to 68 miles per hour in certain sections. This is the Grand Parkway or 99. The delays started in spring. They shot all the way up past the north part of the Woodlands to 242 where our crash was. And this is what it looks like live with our Houston TransStar camera at the Hardy Toll Road. I would still avoid the area, give it some time, but if you must be there, all lanes have reopened.
All right, Jen, thank you. And thank you for joining us on KHOU 11+. We do want to say hello once again to Jacob before we wrap things up.
We're going to leave you now, Steph and Devon, with a moment to remember and honor the lives so tragically lost here in the Hill Country flooding.